Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for Osu Hot Takes. Last time we did this format, it was absolutely incredible. It was probably one of the hardest hitting formats we have yet here in the Jobathon. But today, this format continues. It continues on because we have only managed to get through a grand total of two takes. And so our objective here is over the course of the next 2 hours, we're going to try to get through another 2 spicy, juicy takes. A quick refresher on how this format works. Because we are recycling this format, anything that's been unlocked is still unlocked. And so we will showcase up to 3 hot takes depending on time. All right. For each one of them, I will read out the hot take. It's not my hot take. Okay. It is a hot take. I will read out said hot take, drag in a person to have them explain whether or not or why they agree or disagree with it. We'll have one person agree, one person disagree, and then we'll see and then we'll conduct the vote to see where chat lands. Afterwards, I will reveal whether or not I agree with the take or not, and then drag in someone who shares or who hasn't the opposite opinion as myself. And then if chat will vote to see if I won or lost the debate. If I win the debate, my opponent gets a month of supporter. But if I lose the debate, they get $20 and I have to get an ego check. Sounds good? Here we go. Chat, make sure you are in my Discord server. My Discord server is right here at !Discord. There are 2 channels. There's an agree and a disagree channel. I'm going to show a take, and then I want you guys to join said channel. And then the people that I drag in will be from those respective channels. Sounds good? The first hot take today is AI mapping is okay. If you agree that AI mapping is okay, join the agree channel in my Discord. If you disagree with this take, join the disagree channel in my Discord. I will drag one person from each channel into the voice channel, and then we'll have them explain each take. Oh, wow. The disagree channel is filling up. Oh, wow. The Bob seems to be the literal only person that's in the agree channel. Wow. Interesting. Chat. We have 2 people that are in the agree channel, and it seems to be an ever-growing list of disagreeers. This is going to be spicy. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Oh man, okay. Guys, we're gonna allow the channel to stay open for another 30 seconds. Okay? In 30 seconds, I will pick a random person from each channel and drag them in. And then they will explain why they think AI mapping is okay or why AI mapping is not okay. Let's find out. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Since there are only 2 people in the agree channel, I'm just going to flip a coin. If it's heads, it's going to be Bob. If it's tails, it's going to be Dobo. It is heads. Bob, welcome to the hot seat. Bobby boy.
Okay, does it sound fine? That's the real question.
Yes, you sound great.
Okay, that's good. So I think, and I looked into this a lot. This is one of the topics I actually looked into a lot, especially because I saw a lot of Twitter drama, especially with the recent release of Mapperinator, I think 32 as was. I could be tripping right now, but there's whole devious panda drama. There's a whole bunch of people, or not drama. It was a lot of responses from a bunch of mappers, a bunch of general people, And I think also on top of that, the question itself is a little ambiguous, and I think that was already mentioned in chat before. That what does it actually mean to say AI mapping is okay, right? I personally, as like someone who has been deep into the mapping community, at least I've watched people make maps, I've commissioned maps, I've tried mapping. I understand the difficulty, the passion that people put into mapping. I like would never for the life of me say that hey, AI mapping is fine for ranked. It should not be. It is there is a level of standard that is expected from ranked mapping. Dude, I literally no. I have not uploaded them. I have uploaded before. I've tried making maps, and no, I'm not commissioning. Let's be real. I agree. The AI mapping is not great for ranked. It will never be great for ranked. But I think when we talk about AI mapping being okay, if you have a song that you will never see ranked, you will never see mapped in your life, and you want to try mapping it, go ahead, be my guest. But at that point, it would be one a lot easier to have a baseline of something that exists already for that specific song that you can maybe take and make your own changes. Because I don't say that, oh, just toss in a song, call, and then AI generate map and call it a day. That's not what anyone's doing. No one's actually doing that unless obviously they have a brain that they don't care about like maps at all. Obviously, it's not gonna be as playable. It's not gonna be as enjoyable. And there's no point to it. But I see the point towards either AI assisted mapping, right? Um, Anything that's repetitive. I mean, I swear to God, we will see. I bet you get a section of a map that's like just 1-2 spam. I'm pretty sure most people would like think, even if it's shit mapping, it's like there's no soul to it either. You can essentially put AI like parts, AI generate part to it, and call it a day. No one would tell the difference because it's shit 1-2 mapping, and it will still get ranked. I can bet on that, right? But I'm not saying it should get ranked. I'm saying that if you have a song, you want to generate just a basic map, and then from there go from it, or you want to generate sections that you struggle with, you don't understand. I see a point to that. I see assistive AI assistive mapping. I do not see the whole point of rank mapping. So I think one, the question is a little ambiguous, but two, I don't think there's a it's to say that AI mapping for ranked is okay. I think that AI mapping as an assistance for your personal benefit for learning mapping, I see that as perfectly fine, as long as the end result of you setting something to rank is not AI generated. Maybe in the future we'll see AI generated mapping in like I mean who knows, right? I don't think that's gonna ever happen. I think that would be really stupid. But if it's specifically for your sole purpose of learning mapping, for actually applying different techniques, for seeing what different styles of mappers would do on a specific certain part of a map, right? If it's a very intense section and you want to compare a reform to Sotarks to Armin to whatever, then like at that point you can just say let me generate a map on their styles in that specific section and see how they would do it. Maybe I can learn from this. If I want to compare Tyler Derp to Gay Boy and how I want to farm slop map something, I can do that with AI generated map just by copying their styles. But that's only with the ability using AI tools to do that. I think that's kind of what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying AI mapping for ranked is good. I'm saying that using AI tools to help you understand mapping, to try mapping, and then to apply those what you've learned into real mapping could help you.
I see. Okay, so just if I'm understanding this correctly, okay, the reason that puts you over the edge when it comes to this specific take, one, recognizing that AI mapping is a very slippery slope and that there's a lot of guardrails that need to be created in regards to AI assisted mapping. However, the reason that it pushes you into the agree camp for this specific take is because you do see a certain amount of value in AI mapping, and that's specifically in the avenues of it is a tool, it is an assister, it is a
Yeah.
resource, it's a opportunity to learn, it's etc etc.
Right.
Is that
I
correct?
think that's yeah, that's basically it. And I think a lot of I mean I bet a lot of software I mean I'm also like literally near SF. I have been experienced with the whole like AI whatever mumbo jumbo, I still have disbelief. Like personally, for me, I still don't believe in all these AI tools, AI agents, whatever, as much as a lot of those people do. They might be just LARPing as well. I don't know, but for anything that's repetitive, for anything that needs to like you want to learn something, anything you want to test on your own set, you can do that. Obviously, if you put into production, that's just gonna crash, right? Like you could vibe code an app, and moments later, that's just gonna break. And I think that's the same thing with mapping. There's a unique touch to everything. There's a level of taste, a level of understanding that needs to be there before putting into rank. That's just you're never gonna get that with AI tools. I mean, unless AGI somehow comes, and that's in 10, 15, 30 years, and whatever. I don't give a shit about that. Right now, when it comes to like AI mapping in particular, I will never want to see it in ranked. I think thank God for Alibaba for setting guardrails already for helping prevent AI mapping getting into ranked. But for fundamental learning purposes, for testing purposes, for understanding different styles, you can do that. And I think that's very important to understand, like the distinction between learning and applying for your own purposes and getting into ranked. That's literally it. There's just a huge, it's like whether or not you're testing your own software and pushing to prod. Those are two different things. You would not want to push AI generated slop to prod and expect it to work. That's just going to crash the first second. All your tests are going to fail. Your CI/CD pipeline is going to fail. We are literally going to see US East 1 destroy itself just by doing that. But if you test things properly, understand things, write your own stuff on your own, and then push, you will actually still see things working properly. It's the same thought process I'm going to pushing maps to ranked. It's about the thought process about understanding fundamentally how these things work, then making it yourself with your own style, your own taste, with your own understanding, then pushing to ranked. But you can only develop that through watching YouTube videos about mapping, through looking at other people's map, and potentially through generating maps on your own and seeing how they work. I think that's just my thought process into it.
Thank you very much, Bob. No matter what happens, I will say, I respect the balls underneath your crotch. To be in that
Fair enough.
channel on this topic, it does take a lot of balls, and I respect that.
I think it's less about balls. I think it's just like being ahead, like trying to just understand why people want to see AI, be able to use AI mapping and why people don't, and just acknowledging that technology is changing. It's good to like get ahead of it and see how useful it can be for helping you understand things, but also saying that there are limits to how applicable it can be. But yeah, fair enough.
Thank
Okay,
you
bye.
very much, Bob. Spicy. Very, very spicy. I wonder if anyone else joined the Agree channel while in the meantime. Nope, zero. Not a single soul. Whew! Damn! Okay. Very, very, let's say, pretty hard split around here. Okay, we now have a person joining us from the Disagree channel. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people. 10 people are in this channel. And that person will be 8. Bang. 10, 9, 8. Renee! Welcome to the hot seat.
Hello, good evening.
Renee.
So,
It's been a while.
yeah, it has been a while. So, I'm going to be pretty quick. I think it's mostly a moral issue. I only agree that AI should be used anywhere in mapping and timing because no one likes to do timing and it's not a creative work. Anything that touches a creative part in be art, be mapping, whatever creative product a person can do, it's not no one does timing, is that no one likes to do timing, I think. At least I don't. But anything that requires creative work, I don't believe AI is morally good.
Could you explain why?
Always, because it's a slippery slope. The moment you start to allow it, it starts to create a small avalanche. If you have the tools to create just, a small section, you have the tools to create the whole map. And if you can create the whole map, what can stop from, I don't know, it being good enough to enter ranked without anyone knowing?
Without anyone knowing.
Yeah, we don't know if we ever going to get to a point like that. If we even got to a point like that. But I believe that it is a moral question instead of just a rational question. It's not the greatest argument. I believe that more experienced mappers probably could give a better answer. At least for me, with my limited knowledge in mapping, that's my idea.
I don't want you to discredit yourself here because I think everyone's opinion really matters, right? And what matters is that even from your standpoint as a person who's not experienced in mapping, you still feel that AI mapping is immoral. And I think that already speaks volumes, right? So I think that alone is like pretty powerful, right? It's a feeling. It's a thought. It's like when you take a look at the mapping community and you see, or just like imagine what AI mapping will do to it. Am I correct in assuming that that feeling that you get in just imagining that situation is just pretty bad?
Yeah. When I find imagine I try to find a song that doesn't have a ranked map. I go to unranked and I see mostly bad maps because it's mostly newer people mapping. I believe that's like the highest quantity of maps. But at least someone made that. Yeah, it's bad, but at least there was some effort. So I prefer that than just, mass trained maps on ranked. Eventually they will have always the same style. Innovation will be lacking because the dataset is just probably ranked maps.
Very
It's
interesting.
just boring.
I do have one follow-up question. You mentioned that anything that is a creative field shouldn't be touched by AI. Who determines, or what do you determine as a creative field? Like, what criteria does something become creative?
That's basically asking the philosophical question of what is art, what can be considered as art. If it were on my perspective, anything that requires creative input, that someone put in the thought to make it, to have a context, to make someone feel something, be just a simple emotion or anything. I believe that is art.
Interesting. Okay, that's pretty powerful.
I-
Anything in which the context where someone feels something, that is a sort of
Yeah.
art, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think art is the philosophy of feeling. It's not a technical work. It can have technical aspects, but it's mainly something made for someone else or you to feel something. It has the ideas of the author imbued.
Very fascinating. Any closing thoughts, Renee?
Not really. I think I have probably said some fallacies, probably slippery slope in the beginning as well. But yeah, that's my general thoughts.
I think you did great. Thank you for coming on, Renee. It is
Yeah.
time to have the chat vote. Let's take a look. Wait. Lon wants to argue first. Is AI mapping okay? Featuring log off now. Damn. All right, chat. Let's take this vote. Poll title: AI mapping is okay. Agree or disagree? Find out now. Let's see what the results are showing. Woo-hoo-hoo. Damn. That is crazy. 71 votes for disagree versus 24 for agree. All right. Log off now. Feel free to join a voice channel. Oh, you are in the disagree channel. All right. Hello, Lon.
What's up, Ed?
All right. Here's the deal. Since you took the disagree channel, I am going to play devil's advocate and act as if I agree with the take.
Okay.
So, please open up the floor. Why do you disagree with the take that AI mapping is okay?
Okay, AI mapping is terrible. When you use AI to map, you're not going to actually learn anything about mapping whatsoever. Or like, you know how dumb boomers have got since ChatGPT came out? That's going to be you when you want to try and rank your map in the future, because you're going to have absolutely no idea what you've done, why the AI has done what it's done, and you won't know how to apply or accept any feedback. Okay, that's point one. Point two, you're robbing yourself of having such a fun and awesome learning experience. You're robbing yourself of joining a huge community where you'll make loads of friends for life, honestly. If you just AI map and be like, you know what, all I want is to get like some aim slot pink haired anime girl ranked. You're robbing yourself. That's my point 2. And your map's just gonna get thrown out immediately the second you're caught anyway, so it's a waste of time. That's my point 3. That's why AI mapping sucks.
Wait, what was point 3? Sorry, I missed it.
So it's just gonna get thrown out if you do try and rank it, because you're not allowed to do that. It's against the RC.
Ranking criteria. All right. Those are some really, really strong points. Like, they make a lot of sense. And I actually agree with you with many of them. Specifically, like, robbing yourself of a genuine community of friends and people to engage with. I do agree that if someone is just creating AI beat maps, then it completely defeats the point of, like, hey, you're not, like, you're instead of going through the effort of learning the process of gathering that feedback. Like, there's a genuine reason why you go through the modding system. It's because you need the feedback and engagement with the community and the thoughts of other players, mappers, etc. Because that's part of OSU. So I completely 100% agree with you. As for the nothing to learn, no feedback, I'd like to push back on that just a little bit, because I think that, I guess, limits the potential of what AI mapping could actually do. I think right now you're thinking of the feedback of, or you're thinking of the process of you click a button, giving it a song, and then it generates a map.
Yes.
Doesn't say anything else. Doesn't say any explanation of why it did any specific thing. But I can imagine that if it continues to develop, if the technology continues to develop in that direction, and that is something that people want, then it could be created. It doesn't seem like that much harder to add in, especially with the advent of large language models. It doesn't seem like that much further of a step to at least explain the basics of why the model chose to place objects in a specific way. In fact, if you saw Pandize's recent video of him trying to make an AI beat map, it was essentially trying to explain itself. It's just dog shit, right? And so
Yeah.
as of right now, I agree. AI mapping is terrible. But I do disagree, or I do want to push back on the idea that there is nothing to learn. I agree that there's nothing to learn right now, but I think if the technology continues to mature, there could be an avenue in which it becomes a tool for learning. And that's something that I'd like your thoughts on. As for the ranking criteria dictates it's not allowed, 100%. Like, that's set by an outside source. You're not going to get your map ranked if you have it generated with AI or whatever the specifics are. I'm unfortunately not too convinced on that. But I would like your thoughts on my specific, on me pushing back on the learning aspect.
Okay, so I can see where you're coming from. If, for example, it's like, hey, I did this pattern because XYZ in the song does this, there is a tiny bit of value to that. But I think because, like, mapping is so inherently tied to the specific song that you're mapping, I think it's very difficult to apply the learnings from an LLM to other songs. Whereas if you're told, okay, this is how it works, and you can apply this with other songs if they do something similar-ish, then I think you're going to get a lot more value out of that, rather than just saying X is Y because A is B, which is what an LLM, I imagine, would spit out, if that makes sense.
So this goes a little bit deeper into, like, the technology of what is AI, which, AI can really, like, mean a lot of different things, right? In the past, like, you could argue that a calculator was an AI because all you do is you press in the buttons and it spits out the answer. Wow, that's intelligence, right? But eventually it evolved. So I think the most recent definition when people think of AI, at least in 2026, is the underlying technology of the transformer, of attention, with that one paper that Google released of attention is all you need. That paper has been cited by literally every single, like, research lab, AI research lab, like Anthropic and OpenAI and et cetera, right? So that I feel like is the foundation of this recent boom. And if we're using that definition, I'd like to push back on this sort of thing that oh, you feed it one thing and it gives you something. That's not actually the case. In fact, from what I understand in the research, reading the research, or at least the articles on that research, that's still really hard to actually understand how the models are coming up with a certain set of decisions. Right now, there's still like this, you can think of it more like a prediction system. It's predicting the next word to say, the next circle to place, the blah, 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 right? But why is it doing that? That's still, no one actually knows that answer, not even the creators of each model. And so do you think that changes your opinion, knowing that it's not really a definitive system? Even if you ask this, like right now, if you were to ask Claude a question and then ask it again, you will get two different answers.
So in that case, I think there's no value to learn from AI because it's just going to keep hallucinating.
Interesting.
So even if it did explain itself, then how are you going to verify that that explanation is good?
So the definition of a model hallucinating is when it confidently says something that is wrong. But if we get to a scenario in which these models are spitting out genuinely good maps with genuinely good explanations of why they chose these specific objects in these specific placements because of their analysis, maybe they're multimodal and they actually analyze the MP3 file and then like had a LLM portion that actually created a story or underlying structure and then created a brief that then used as the foundation to then create everything. If it actually does manage to get it right and the technology improves to that point, which, you know, it's really a matter of time. We've already seen that with like people saying, with like the Will Smith spaghetti meme. Don't you think that being or putting a stop in this sort of discussion and just, oh, it will hallucinate and it's not useful. It almost seems as if that's a sort of it's almost short-sighted in a way.
A time-gated argument.
Right.
So let's say that AI does like nail it, right? So in that case, are you actually going to use it for a learning experience, or are you going to use it just because you don't want to learn how to make a map that you want to play? That's the question. I think at that point, it's on the user to decide if they want to use that information or not.
Right. So for me, it's a little bit more complicated than that. I can't really put myself in the shoes of every single person and, like, you know, tell them or force them to use a tool a specific way. That's why I agree with what Bob's mentioned earlier, which is that there needs to be specific guardrails for AI generated content within the game. Similar to like what Google is trying to do, which is putting a sort of a watermark in every single image, not just a visual watermark, but also a code-based watermark in every single PNG that Gemini's image model spits out, where you can run and actually tell whether or not it was used. Is it perfect? No. But I'm sure there are ways in which, you know, AI-generated mapping tools can add some safeguards, add some safety precautions so that when a map is generated or assisted with AI, it can be easily flagged.
Yes.
But when I see myself as a person who's given a tool that can theoretically, if fed a song and generate a beat map, I feel a couple of different things. Number one, I feel, again, a sense of concern, similar to what what Renee mentioned from the disagree camp. I'm kind of like, holy shit, this could ruin everything type of deal, right? Especially because I am good friends with a lot of different mappers. And especially if you were there for yesterday's when I was watching Pandice's, you know, Mapping World Cup video, there's so much thought, there's so much effort, there's so much so many brains. There's so many cool things that are done and can be expressed and can be felt as a result of a map. And I never want to lose that. So the first thing that I feel is concern. However, I also do feel a layer of holy fuck, this is awesome. Because there are situations in which I just want to play a map for the sake of achieving something that is not a emotional feeling, but it is a, how do I describe it? I'm trying to do something, not feel something. Like if I'm going through a regimen of like training, of lifting weights, I don't care if like the weight itself or the barbell was made with AI. What I care is that I have the barbell there so I can lift it. And so oftentimes I do find myself in situations in which I wish I had a beat map that had this type of pattern from this map, but maybe more spacing or on a different genre or of this speed or of XYZ thing, or maybe the entire map is like that. And of course, I've tried doing that myself and sucked ass. I could go through the effort of trying to learn mapping myself. Eventually I will do that. But I do see the value of if there is a tool that actually could take this problem that I have, which is I want to have a map that I can practice something on, and it actually creates it, that I do feel excited about that. And so because of that, I think that AI mapping has a sort of value, but again, it just requires a lot of guardrails, a lot of safety. And that is the big question. How can we allow in this wave of new tooling that can genuinely do a lot of good, but also do a lot of harm to people and the game and its community? And that's where things start to get muddy.
I think if you just use AI as a means to an end, like you do in that explanation, like even where I work, like I have to use AI because it helps make my job 10 times easier and less stressful sometimes. Like to me, it's just a means to an end to get something done. Whereas I view mapping as I want to improve and get better at mapping myself.
I agree.
So I rob myself of that experience. If it's just a means to an end, then yeah, I think AI mapping, I agree. I'd say does have a value. However, if you're going to upload it, I think that's where you're kind of blurring the lines of morality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Yeah, I think we're actually on the same page then, because really, I think the means to an ends is the thing. It's kind of okay. This is a terrible like parallel, but it's like porn. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're there to just jack off and like just get it over with, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
But like, if you're there
feel something
to have an AI girlfriend because you can't pull in, or like the point of, developing a relationship is to work on yourself, is to, learn and be open and, be a productive member of society. And having a relationship is one of the biggest pushes, the biggest goals to do that. And so if you take the shortcut of, oh, you have this like AI girlfriend that will always reinforce you and always like tell you that you're a good kitten or some shit, it's like it defeats the point. But like,
absolutely,
if it's a means to an end, I don't care.
Yeah. 100%. Great analogy.
Yeah. I probably could have used a better one. So it's like, yeah. All right, awesome.
That was a good one.
Juan, do you have any other closing thoughts? I always like to let the other person say the final words.
Subscribe to BTMC on twitch.tv.
What the?
I got your back, bro.
Thank you, Lon. I appreciate you, man.
See you later, Chief.
Thank you. All right, guys. It's time. It's time to have the vote of who won the debate. Not who you agree with, but who won. You guys have 60 seconds. 41 votes for me, 60 votes for Lon. I'm starting to think you guys just want me to take hot sauce. Oh, yeah, and also Lon gets $20. Oh. Just say AI mapping is bad on Twitter, Lamal. Just admit you're wrong. Well, this requires me to okay, so I played devil's advocate here, right? I think I should actually reveal my opinion first. I should reveal my opinion first. Do I agree or disagree that AI mapping is okay? When someone asks me this question, I actually think of when Oli Bombi first created his first AI model or AI mapping model. And I remember the public perception was, hey, this is cool. It's the exact same thing as Neurosama. Like, oh my God, someone's training an AI model to learn Osu. And over the course of many months, it only grew and it only continued to get positive feedback. More people were supporting Oli Bombi's project. Holy shit, I can't believe it. It first started as this hideous abomination of a map, and then it was actually starting to create somewhat legible, somewhat playable beat maps. And it was a cool project. But at some point in time, something flipped. Something changed, and then all of a sudden I see Oli Bombi's tweets getting flooded with fuck you for making this tool. Stop developing this project. You're going to ruin the game by doing this. And I just feel that reaction is just valid to a certain extent, yes, but I also feel like it's overblown. Because when I am forming my decision or my take on this, I think back to that first project, that first tweet that Oli Bombi made of like, hey, or mapping is such a creative, like such a difficult, like you cannot program something to create a map. Otherwise it's dog shit. So like you need some sort of intelligence to make it. And the challenge of that was really, really cool. And so just based off of that, it makes me lean more towards the agree camp. Because it's not just AI mapping is okay. I thought AI mapping was cool. I still do, actually. When I see Oli Bombi send out another tweet, I still think, holy fuck, Oli, you did it again. You improved on that tech. I remember when it was dog shit, that sort of thing, you know? But I also have to come with the reality, which is it ready to be in the hands of people? Would I want to give the everyday person this sort of technology as is with those promises? No. I think it'll ruin mapping. I think it's going to demotivate a lot of the people that I like their maps. I like their visions. I like their projects. Every time I see certain mappers post a specific map, I'm like, wow, nice. Thank you. I get to play another map from this mapper who used their brain to come up with these ideas. And I get to experience that, right? And I do think that if AI mapping is just released out with no guardrails, that it will hurt people that I care about. So I need to think, based off of that information, do I agree or disagree? And that's hedged with this idea that like if AI mapping tools actually existed, I would use it. Like I mentioned before, there are maps that I just want to create and just, play for the sake of improving. I don't give a shit on the quality of the map. I just want to train a specific avenue of the game. I don't care who mapped it. I can't tell you what, who made all the Deathstream practice maps that I play. I couldn't tell you who made it. I don't know. The aim practice maps I can, and that's Scytho. Scytho, Grand Senpai, Arliss or Lafiena, I think that's their name. Like, yeah. But then again, if that tool were to be released, what incentive does Scytho or Lafiena or those guys have to continue making maps in that specific style, And not to mention, I don't think anyone even brought this up, which is like the ethics of like, how are these models actually trained? is Oli training these models using his own maps? Or is he scraping and downloading and feeding maps from everyone else without their permission? That's also like, I actually don't know the answer to that. All right. I have my decision. Fuck, man. I have my decision. Do I think AI mapping is okay? Or no, with a hot take, AI mapping is okay. I disagree. And here's why. Like Logoff now mentioned, AI mapping is against the ranking criteria. You could think that, and I believe I've seen tweets and posts and comments from Peppy that he doesn't want AI mapping anywhere close to the game. For me, I actually align myself a lot with Peppy himself because what I want to do is take this game further. And oftentimes, if that's against his vision, I'd rather just flip. I'd rather just, follow the rules. There are very few circumstances in which I actually take any sort of opposite approach from Peppy. And what I actually find is that without even knowing his opinion, me and Peppy seem to be on the same page of a lot of different topics. And I think the biggest concern right now is that AI mapping is just unhealthy to this community. And as much as I, as a player, would like these tools to make it easier for me to excel and get better at certain areas of the game, there also is the fact that because those maps don't exist or those training maps don't exist, it allows me to have a bit more respect for players who are absolutely cracked at those types of maps, at that type of skill. And the fact that they were able to do it without the help of tools to create as many practice maps as they want, I think there's a certain level of, impressiveness with that. It almost relates back to the Cookie Z versus MREC debate, because I read the comments and there was a very, very good point that was brought up with one of the people in the comment section, which is that Cookie Z dominated in an era where there was no practice maps. There were no optimized maps. Yet he still dominated with Hard Rock, Hidden, and even Double Time on many of those beat maps without any sort of maps to train on. He played, he had like Cookie Z had like a wooden gym, and Emrek had Equinox, and Cookie Z had literal stones. And there's a certain level of respect in that. Eventually, I do think it is going to happen either way, but I think of that as like, hey, it's going to happen no matter what. But if we can stall it just a couple more days, I think that's also fine. Yeah, I disagree. But I still lost the debate. So I can either tweet out that, wait, what is it? What are the rules again? For each debate I lose, I choose one of the two options. Say I'm wrong and the other person is right, and upload the clip onto Twitter. Because me and Lon have the same take, I don't think this applies. Because I can't really say I'm wrong if I agree with them. And so I feel like the only fair thing to do is to sample the last dab.
Or just debate Bob,
Oh. What do you guys think? Should I debate Bob? Have you guys vote again? All right, chat, vote now on your phone. Should I debate now? I'll do it based off of vibes. Nay. Yes. Yeah. Yee. Nay. Nay. Yes. Nay. Nay. They're not feeling it, broski. Yay. Nay. Debate me. Hot sauce, then debate Bob. Wait, that's kind of content. Can we just go on to the next take, please?